badass motherfuckers. It's the results. Kill excuses. The morning drinking show. I'm your host, Greg. Getting back on this motherfucker once again. Getting back on here. Because I love talking about life. I love doing life. But I love talking to people of all types, of all shapes, of all backgrounds, of all experiences about life, right? What is life? What are we doing here, man? What are you doing here? What's life for you? Are you having fun? Is this life fun? It's Sunday fun day. If you're watching this live or same day it comes out, is today a fun day? Is it gonna be a fun day? What do you need? Right? What do you need to have happen to have fun? Right? You need to get drunk. You need to get invited to a place, right? Where you gotta get drunk, get high, right? What do you need to really just have fun, man? And I always love talking about that because it's kind of like, um, if you think back to your childhood, not everybody had the best childhood, right? But I think in our childhood, there were a lot more times, right? Experiences that we had where we're like, man, we had fun, right? Because we knew we could play, right? Playtime as kids, right? We were able to play and we gave ourselves freedom to play. And now we adults and, adulting, it's not that fun, is it? How many of you are honest could be like, man, I love being an adult. I love all this responsibility. I love all this shit. It's wonderful. It's the best. Fuck. Adulting can be very challenging, right? It can beat us down. It can throw us for shit that we just didn't even really expect, right? There's a lot of shit we did not expect when we were little kids, right? Thinking about life. I'm thinking about what we could be, right? And we forget who we are. We forget what we want to be. We forget that we can be something different than who we are, right? We can choose to change up. And that's probably the biggest lesson that I've had to learn along this journey is knowing that it's okay to reinvent myself and yourself, right? It's okay to reinvent yourself. It takes a lot of work, right? And what's probably the most challenging about the times that you choose to reinvent yourself, right? It's like people that are used to you as a certain way, right? Maybe you have certain people in your life and you could look back on your life, right? There's times where we've all changed, right? We've all grown, we've all become something different. But throughout those processes and evolutions of ourself, we lose people. And there's a lot of memes, there's a lot of inspirational shit that I see out there. It talks about just going dark, right? Ghosting yourself for what, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? To give yourself an opportunity to do what? Connect more with yourself, to find your true self, right? When you're stuck in a pattern and a reality that you're not fully happy with, that you're not having fun on a regular basis, and it's like, what is fun? Right? If for you to have fun, it means you need to get wasted, get high, right? Get invited to happy hour, just, whatever. Fine. Like if that's truly having fun. We had a huge fun party here yesterday at the Mystic Santa Fe, man. Gosh, I can't believe this has really come to fruition. Yesterday we had a big private event with some A-list celebrities. And again, someone that doesn't drink, I had a lot of fun interacting with people that I know they were having fun, but they needed the drink to have fun. Me, I could just show up and be present and have fun connecting with people. But when I'm connecting with people, whether it's a celebrity, I was talking to A-list celebrity yesterday, and guess what we were talking about? Life, sobriety, cold water plunges, exercise, nutrition. This guy was a beast. And and that's cool, right? Because it doesn't matter to me, right? I don't get starstruck. I did snap a picture with him and my daughter, and um but I don't get starstruck, right? I don't care who it is, right? We're all doing this thing called life. Sometimes life is doing us, and that's a really challenging thing. If you're not having fun right now, as we're embarking on what? The summer. We're in the summer now of 23. And this is a great opportunity for you to really connect with yourself. Definitely get outside more, do more things outside, get some more sun, connect with nature, right? There's so much healing when you connect with nature. But the thing is do you got to do it with can you just be yourself out there, right? And that's the message for today is what is it going to take for you to just be yourself? I seen I think is it Johnny Depp? I think it's Johnny Depp where he's maybe accepting an award or something. Um but he talks about how important it would be, but how so many people you can't just be yourself. Not universally. You can't just show up and be who your true authentic self in every environment, in every situation that you exist. Because again, it's that acceptance, it's fear of rejection. And that's one of the toughest things in this life is that so many people are afraid to be rejected, right? We want acceptance. I was talking to a preacher man the other day, and it was a fun conversation. I appreciated that he could hear me out on a lot of the things that I'm thinking about, that I'm experiencing. But the thing that we talk a lot about, that I talk to people about, is this trauma thing, right? And we have there's a program there, right? No matter what you've been through in terms of your survival, that if you've been through a lot of trauma, especially 0 to 10, but yet it plays itself out in these survival programs in your current life, your current situation, that even in that situation, right? You may consider yourself a spiritual person, a religious person, a Christian, right? Or whatever other religion you are. So you identify with that. But here's the thing is that you can show up to a box. I mean, I call it a building, right? I call it a box, but it's a building, right? A container, and you can be yourself there, right? But when you show up to this other box Monday through Friday, you can't be yourself there, right? You can't, like, very few people feel confident enough and safe enough to really express and move with their ideology, whatever that ideology is, right? And I was kind of challenging him the other day, right? Because I'm someone that I've had some pretty deep spans of my life walking in them Christian shoes, and I was pretty bold. I know that I could have been even more bold, but I was pretty damn bold. And I survived in some very counter culture environments, being bold. However, I challenged him to say, like, if you really look, like, where do Christians stand right now? Right? in this cancel culture, right? With all this ideology, where do they stand, right? I feel this whole mindset of being a sheep is very weak. It's very limiting, right? And it's sort of a fear, right? There's a fear base there. So if you're someone that truly identifies with a religion, right? Um, can you just be yourself? Or do you have to kind of tweak yourself here and there and everywhere you go? And that's sort of what Johnny Depp was talking about on this meme. Most of you have probably seen it. It's an award. He's receiving an award and he's talking about just being yourself. That's really hard, but it's one of the most empowering things because there's so much fear around it. And so I'm challenging you today, right? And that's really the whole point of this whole thing is to, like, how do you find yourself? Can you find yourself by continuing uh, with the distractions you got, right? Is your true self a fanatic of a sport or a TV show or whatever it is, right? Is your true and authentic self that, right? Or is it something different, right? Um, I met someone the other day that their sexuality changed, right? Because they grew up in a very religious, conformist type environment that they were expected to do XYZ. And then when they really got older, they realized that, man, this isn't really who I am. And so we do that. We allow ourselves to be manipulated, right? In order to what? Maintain like what we would maybe consider peace or acceptance. I call it acceptance. We're really afraid to be alone, right? Or this perception of like being rejected. And that's really is sad. It is sad because so many of us, myself included, for years, man, I would lose myself in relationships. I would lose myself. Yeah, there's a few of us. I would lose myself in work environments. I would lose myself in organizations, right? And there was times that I would just put myself in organizations to what? Like kind of build the resume to like, do the window dressing as to like who I am. And it's like, I mean, a lot of that was good intention, right? I can look at myself, I can be at peace with myself and say it was good intention. But if I'm really honest with myself, there was a lot of shit that I would do in the past that I was doing it to sort of like build myself up and when I say myself, it was sort of a false version of myself. It was sort of me saying, "Hey, if I like I want let's say I want stability, right? At a deeper level." And you have to get to this place. You have to really say, "What do you want in life?" Do you just want success? Do you just want freedom? Do you just want to be retired? Do you just want to be rich? Do you just want to be famous? Do you just want to be left alone? Right? And it's like, what is at the deeper level? For me, what I have realized is I've desired stability. And I hope a lot of you can relate to that. I have like my entire existence from like 0 years old was having to process, right? Emotional trauma and instability from an emotional standpoint. Having caregivers that were always struggling, always trying to scrape by, never really being present and always hearing fights and arguments about not getting along and fighting over bills and paying bills and there was a lot of alcohol use and drug use within the households that I was raised in. And so I know that at a deeper level, right, I've wanted in stability. And I'm grateful that I've gone on this healing journey to help cultivate stability in my life. And I continue to work even on deeper levels of stability, right? And yet, I used to think that, well, if I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that, which is very controlling and trying to manipulate, it's strategic, but it was like looking at society and say, okay, well, if I become this person and I do that and I do this and I gain their acceptance, and then if I show up and do this, right, and I go to this group and I volunteer for this and I do that and I do this and I do that too, that somehow I'm going to gain stability. And it's like, you know, what I realized is all of that activity, there was a lot of sincerity in it, right? There was a lot of good intentions in it. But what I did realize, if I look back, right, is that I wasn't really doing it for myself, for the inner self, for my true self, right? I was just building a structure of perception, right? That does reflect some of the attributes, positive attributes inside of me. But a lot of it was just a front, because at the end of the day, all of that activity, right? It could really be summed up in one word: distraction. It was a distraction. It was the more active I was in my community, in my workplace, and even sometimes in my own family, right? And this isn't about being a lot of people misconstrue shit because they're wanting it to be misconstrued. But when you look at it, if you see yourself as a busybody, you always got to be doing something, something, something. You can't just sit there, man. Just sit. Just sit there. Be at peace, relax, whatever it is, and spend some time with yourself. Because it's not until you truly spend some time with yourself and really deal with some of the shit, the bullshit, man. Deal with some of the pains, the hurts. And that's the hardest part of this journey. Is most people cannot just sit alone. No distractions, right? No people. Maybe not even cell service. And really just kind of figure out, man, how do you feel about yourself? Do you love yourself? Are you happy with yourself? Are you at peace with yourself, or are you frustrated? Do you feel like you missed a lot of opportunities? Do you feel like a failure? Do you feel like you've wasted a lot of time? Right? Are you really critical towards yourself? Or are you like an amazing motivational coach, right? You're your best friend, picking yourself up every day, saying, let's get after it. Yeah, yesterday wasn't the best, but guess what? Today's the day, right? Shit, today wasn't the best either. Today's the day. Next day, we just keep going and going and going and going, knowing that there's learning and growth. It's a growth mindset. And I would love for more people to embrace that growth mindset, because I feel that so many human beings that have had really tough upbringings and have built resistance, right? There's a lot of resistance that gets built in your upbringing. Resistance to do what? Conformity to what? Education, right? You hated school, you hated having to just sit there in the class and fucking regurgitate all the bullshit, and I get that. Education is not really built in a way to really bring out the best of us, right? It's all about conformity. And a lot of us resisted that. And then yet what happens is we self-sabotage ourselves for the rest of our lives because we're almost rejecting of learning new things. We feel that, oh, I'm an adult now. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what the fuck to do. And that's true. We can't know. I can't tell you what to do. I can't make you do, right? You are going to have to want to do something new. You are going to have to want to transcend and overcome what? Your patterns and your habits, because that is who you are. You are your habits. You are your patterns. And if you don't feel good about yourself, which I know most people don't, deep down, most people don't, right? Mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health, most people don't got that going on. And I feel that the place where you can start to learn who you are, right? And how do you really feel about yourself? How do you really, really feel about yourself? You got to disconnect, right? To just be yourself, you have to kind of like distance yourself from everything that creates distraction, subtleties of distraction, right? Hours upon hours on social media, looking at what everyone else is doing, feeling like, I mean, maybe you're doing some of that stuff too, right? But most of the times it doesn't really leave us feeling inspired. Most social media, think about it. Does social media leave you inspired? And when I say inspired, that means when whatever you're consuming, right? In social media, right? You're seeing people successful, you're seeing people on vacation, you're seeing people doing incredible things that when you see that, by when I say being inspired, that means that you say, wow, look at this person. They're wow, they're on this incredible trip. Uh-oh. Well, I'm gonna go do a trip like that too. And then so you jump on and you're inspired now, and you're gonna like book the plane, book the trip, right? You're gonna actually make it happen for you, right? When you see somebody that's like building a house or bought a new house and stuff like that, you're like, fuck, man, I'm inspired, man. This guy bought a house. I want to buy a house too. I want to buy a ranch. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then you go and do it. Right? That's being inspired. Is like you see something and then it inspires you to say, I'm deserving of that. I'm worthy of that. And I'm going to take the action to do it. But most of us, again, back to the point, you don't watch, you're not consuming social media that leaves you inspired. And that's because you're beat down. You're overwhelmed. You're burdened by everything. As I just see twos all over the place. That's how I know we're aligned, and that's how I know that this message will reach someone. Someone out there is going to hear this message. And hopefully, my greatest hope is that you will be inspired, right? To start working on yourself. And there's a lot of different ways that we need to work on ourselves each and every day. And that's what goes across this board, right? We need to work on our mindsets. We need positive affirmations because most of our thoughts are not positive thoughts. They are not optimistic thoughts, hopeful thoughts, loving thoughts towards ourselves and towards others. A lot of us are fucking playing life scared, being fearful, being doubtful, being pessimistic. So it's like you got to start reprogramming your mind by washing your mind with what? Positive, right? Affirmations, positive thoughts, positive energy. And it just doesn't happen natural. And it's like you have to overwhelm your brain, your subconscious, right, with this. And it has to be consistent every single day, you guys, every single day, right? Me being myself is saying every single day, no matter what, even if I'm off grid, I have downloaded affirmations that I'm going to put affirmation positivity into my mind. I'm also going to write down positivity and gratitude in my journal. It's that simple, you guys, but it's not easy because you have to start doing it. You need to be inspired to start doing this. And if you want a recommendation on a positive affirmation, hit me up. Reach out, say hello, right? Don't be so scared. Just say hello. Say, hey, man, I appreciate what you're putting out there. Would you share an affirmation? And I won't just share the same one with everyone, right? For some reason, if what you ask for versus another person, I'm going to just receive some energy from that. And I'm going to say, hey, this is what comes to mind for you. This is what comes to mind for you. Right. And that's why I would do that privately. Because I do feel that connection energetically with other people. And so that's how I start every single one of my days. Right. Whether it's for half hour, an hour, whatever it is, wake up early, spend some time creating positivity in your life. You have to create this. Because if you are feeling less than positive, less than inspired, less than like um, ready to take on any challenge that comes your way, right? Then go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. Nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change other than it'll continue to get worse. So I have to kind of preface that because nothing stays the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And you have to be honest with yourself. Which is it? Because most people are actually getting worse in 2023. Most people are getting more beat down, more overwhelmed. They're not, most people aren't feeling optimistic and hopeful and, right, bountiful and saying, wow, man, life is great. I love this shit. There are a lot of people out there that are, though. And maybe you're one. And if you are, I will give you a high five right now. Because I'm that person. But it takes a lot of preparation and strategy for me to truly set myself up to be a positive, hopeful, optimistic, inspired man. It takes a lot. It doesn't just come natural. There's way too many forces that come against that each and every day, right? And if I'm not living with intention, living with clarity in my life, right, then all of the other negative is gonna, it used to beat me down. That's why, how did I become such a fucking alcoholic? I was drinking like a motherfucker, man. Drunk as a motherfucker everywhere I go, right? And even when I got sober for a lot of years, I wasn't doing the positive affirmations and really reprogramming the mind. That this has been my healing journey over 11 years coming up next month. But it's only been probably in the last 3 or 4 years that I started to incorporate the positive affirmations, and that has been a huge game changer. Right? There's big shit happening. We're going to continue to be doing big things. And the beauty is I've been hearing one of my new employees, amazing guy. He's been talking a lot about, in the past, he was rolling the boulder up the mountain, right? And it's like, I've seen that picture too of like, man, like just forcing shit, just pushing a fucking boulder up a hill. And eventually what happens, man, is that motherfucker's going to crush you if it's big enough, right? And the difference is just saying, man, like, let me get the fuck out. What am I doing? Like, stop rolling boulders up the hill. It's not about just grinding and working hard. There is a place that you can be where you can just start attracting the things that are necessary, that you really need, that will really build you up and help you grow each and every day. And that has been a huge shift for me, a major shift. That's a growth point in my life because I've been on survival mode since, God, man, probably 10 years old. 10 years old is when I first felt abandoned, right? Emotionally, right? I felt abandoned. That doesn't mean anybody involved intended for me to feel that way. I'm just letting you know that's my story. And I felt emotionally abandoned, right? By my caregivers. And so from that point forward, I started operating in a survival mode that led to a lot of pain and suffering, man. And I had to hit a lot of fucking rock bottoms. And I've had to reinvent myself a lot. And it's really challenging. It hasn't been easy. And yet, I'm so grateful for the hardships, for the experiences, for the pain and the suffering. Because without that, I wouldn't actually know who I truly am. Without the heartbreak, right? And without there being these times in my life where I have been in solitude, singularity, and alone, right? So that I could truly discover, what am I made of? Who am I? Right? Ain't nobody coming to rescue me. Ain't nobody coming to rescue you. It's self-rescue. What are you going to do? You gonna sit there? SOS sign, right? Has anybody seen that meme? The dude, he's on the island. He's got all these sticks. One dude does the SOS sign, he's just sitting there fucking dead, right? And then the other one makes a boat, makes a raft, and gets the fuck off the island. It's self-rescue out there, people, right? It's a tough world, and it's time to get tough mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. It's time to get tough. You got it in you, but you got to want it. If all you want to do is fuck around and have fun, Sunday fun day, every day is a day to just fuck off, right? That's what I call it. And I know most people can't handle that, but it's true. Fucking off is literally just sitting there, Netflix and chilling, right? Because it's mindful, it's mindlessness. See, there's a difference between being mindful and mindless. I'll talk about that probably later this week. Mindful versus mindless. You're mindless when you're just watching TV and you're watching bullshit. You're on social media. It's mindless. There's nothing going on right there. It's not challenging you in any way possible. And yet we need to be challenged in order to grow, in order to expand, in order to thrive in life. So what are you going to do? You're going to sit there with an SOS sign waiting for someone to come save your ass? Or are you going to build a raft and get the fuck off the island and save yourself? Rescue yourself. Become your own hero, right? You have it in you. But again, it's going to take you changing your patterns and your habits, right? And that's where most of you can't do it. You can't change up. You can't stop. You can't say no to the invite. You can't say no to your own self, right? And saying yes, I'm going to go to the gym. Yes, I'm going to go for a hike. Yes, I'm going to start eating better and actually doing it. Not just once a year at New Year's, but saying, no, like I'm doing it now. I am going to eat healthy. I'm going to start doing affirmations. I'm going to start journaling. I'm going to start exercising more, right? I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to make a difference in this world. Try and give of my talents and my time to helping other people in their lives, but not doing it in a way that you're avoiding the shit you need to deal with in your life, because that's what's really important, right? In order for you to truly make a true impact in the lives of others, you got to have your shit together. And most of us don't. Let's be honest. And I'm talking emotionally. Most of us do not have our shit together. And now's the time. It's time to get our shit together. It's time to start putting in some effort, right? Because in that, you can then start figuring out who you are. And it boils down to, what do you love? What do you hate? What do you want? And why? Why do you want those things? And know that you're deserving of it. But if you don't have something that you desire, guess what? It's because you're not the person that is able to attract that thing into their life yet. If you want something more out of life, you have to become more. And that is where the work starts. And it's the journey. Kobe Bryant talks about this all the time. It's not the destination. It was the journey. It was the 3 fucking intense training sessions that guy used to do every single day, right? It was the grind. It was overcoming the injuries and the pain, right? That was the journey. That is your journey. That's been my journey. And it's worth it. It's worth it because you're worth it. Having greater peace of mind, being happy with who you are, being proud of yourself, and then sharing that with the world around you, because you can be yourself and not what someone else wants. And I hear this all the time. I challenge you. This next week, maybe even just today, if you've made it this far in the show, the next time you come across an old person, when I mean old, I'm talking about really old. Look for somebody that's like in their 80s, 90s, right? even their 70s. I mean, I'm talking really thin gray hair, right? Maybe even like with a wheelchair, a walker, or cane, just an old person, right? Someone's been through some seasons. Ask them about life and ask them when they look back on their life, do they have any regrets and what are they? See if they'll share that with you. What I hear more times than not when I talk to people that have been around the block quite a few times, right? It's the fact that they didn't honor themselves more, right? They didn't do the things that they truly wish they could have done, knowing that they could have done it, right? They did way too many things for other people and not enough things for themselves, right? And I believe that you right here, right now, have an opportunity to not have that regret at the end of your life. If you get the opportunity to have a long life, you can choose whether the rest of your life is going to be full of suffering, right? Anguish, pain, or it's going to be full of what? Growth, healing, light, love, accomplishment, right? Transcendence, transformation, expansion, becoming a beautiful version of yourself, the highest version of yourself. Because that's what I'm here to challenge you to do each and every day. Just become a little better every single day. Guess what? That shit adds up quick, especially if you keep doing it over an extended period of time. Quit settling for less, motherfuckers, because you know the drill. Results kill excuses. It's all